There's a moment you've probably felt when everything around you feels slightly off. You're doing the right things, visualizing, meditating, repeating affirmations, yet life keeps looping the same patterns, same emotions, same results, same almosts. It's not that you're broken, it's that you're running on half power, because inside you there's a hidden circuit, not metaphorical but energetic, designed to translate vibration into physical outcomes. Most people never learn to switch it on. They try to think their way into new realities using only the conscious mind, while the deeper system, the body's electrical and emotional field, stays disconnected. The truth is, your thoughts don't directly manifest your world. Your energy circuit does. The frequency pulsing through that inner network is what the quantum field listens to. And when it's fragmented, full of static, or running through old patterns of fear and defense, reality decodes that signal into confusion, delay, or contradiction. We were trained to control reality with effort. But control burns energy. Coherence releases it. Your real power isn't in forcing outcomes. It's in becoming a clear transmitter. This hidden circuit links your heart, brain, and nervous system into one synchronized current. When those centers communicate fluently, you stop broadcasting mixed messages. You stop saying, "I'm ready," while your field screams, "I'm scared." The universe stops receiving static and starts reading you clearly. Think of it as the language of existence itself. You've been speaking to reality in broken sentences. Now you're about to learn its native tongue. The missing key isn't more focus, it's flow. Not stronger willpower, but energetic fluency. When you activate this circuit, you don't chase synchronicities. They orbit around you naturally because your system finally speaks in resonance. So why does no one teach this? Because the mechanism that powers it, this energetic decoder between your emotions, body, and environment, has been hiding in plain sight. Science brushed against it through studies on coherence, the observer effect, and electromagnetic fields, but the translation never made it to human practice. We're going to change that, because once you learn to run current through this inner network, deliberately, cleanly, the world stops being random. It starts being responsive. Let's strip away the mystery. Your body is not just biology, it's circuitry. Every cell holds a charge, every emotion carries a current, every thought fires a signal. When these systems are synchronized, you emit a coherent electromagnetic field. When they're not, you broadcast static, a scrambled message the field around you struggles to interpret. Here's where the hidden decoder lives, in the flow between your heart, brain, and body. Imagine them as 3 tuning stations. Your brain forms intention. It sends the command. Your heart codes it with emotion. It gives the signal texture. And your body, through its nervous system, delivers the final waveform. It anchors the transmission into physical space. If any one of these goes offline, the message distorts. You might think abundance, feel fear, and act from lack. The field receives all 3 frequencies and mirrors back chaos. The universe isn't punishing you. It's simply decoding the mixed signal you're broadcasting. Think of your energy field as a kind of translator between the invisible and the visible. The quantum field, by nature, doesn't respond to language. It responds to resonance. It doesn't care what you say you want. It mirrors the tone you're vibrating in. That's why your energy circuit, this flow of coherent emotion and electrical charge, matters far more than mental focus alone. When the heart and brain align, measurable coherence emerges. Scientists at the HeartMath Institute have recorded this rhythmic synchronization that radiates far beyond the body, influencing electromagnetic environments. In that state, intention becomes legible. It's as if your inner signal stops whispering and starts singing in perfect pitch, and reality, which always listens, starts to harmonize with you. So, how do you know when your circuit is active? You feel clarity instead of confusion, warm expansion instead of tight effort. Time feels fluid, not rushed. You don't think of what you want. You become it. Your nervous system stops bracing for life and starts participating in it. But most people never reach this level of coherence because they keep trying to force alignment from the top down, mind commanding body. The hidden truth is, energy doesn't flow through hierarchy. It flows through harmony. And here's the twist. Your hidden circuit isn't missing. It's miswired. Somewhere along the way, you learned that safety meant contraction, that control meant survival. Those programs reroute energy away from coherence and into defense. The body can't transmit clarity while it's preparing for threat. What if everything that feels blocked in your life isn't about bad luck or poor timing, but an overloaded signal jammed by old frequencies? Because once you see how that miswiring happened, you can rebuild the circuit from the inside out. And that's when manifestation stops being mystical and starts being electrical. The question is, what corrupted the original signal in the first place? Let's dismantle the biggest myth first, that you can think your way into a new reality. That repeating "I am abundant" or "I am loved" can override the deeper programs running beneath those words. You can't outthink the field, because the field doesn't speak thought, it speaks frequency. Picture this: someone sitting at their desk, affirmations taped to the wall, playlists of high vibes looping in the background. They're saying all the right things. Money flows to me easily, but as the notification tone of a new bill pings, their stomach tightens. Their shoulders subtly rise. The body, which is the real broadcaster, just sent out a very different signal. Threat detected. That's the invisible language the universe reads. Not the sentence, but the somatic pulse underneath it. The field mirrors the vibration, not the vocabulary. Here's what's really happening. When the conscious mind declares an intention that the subconscious body doesn't believe, an interference pattern forms. The brain says, "Go forward." The nervous system whispers, "Not safe." Energy divides. Current leaks. You get half results. Manifestations that almost arrive. Opportunities that almost fit. Timing that almost aligns. The myth of positive thinking collapses because it skips the body's participation. You can't activate your hidden circuit from the neck up. The heart and the gut, those electromagnetic powerhouses, have to be online. They're the ones translating emotional charge into resonance. Let's ground this in a micro scene. You're waiting for a text from someone you like. You've done the "don't chase energy" talk with yourself. You're calm. You even smile. But beneath the calm surface, your chest feels slightly tight, your breath shallow. You're projecting serenity, but broadcasting scarcity. The signal that leaves your field says, "I don't feel chosen yet." That signal shapes the moment that follows. The message doesn't come, or it comes delayed, lukewarm, confusing. Reality decodes you before it responds to you. The shift begins when you stop policing your thoughts and start listening to your energy. When you realize every emotion is data, not danger. When you breathe instead of brace. Because the moment your nervous system stops fighting the feeling, coherence starts to return, and the circuit begins to hum again. This isn't magic. It's mechanics. The heart's field is measurable several feet beyond the body. The frequencies it emits are coherent or chaotic depending on your emotional state. When that field stabilizes, the mind's intention rides that wave cleanly into the quantum fabric. So, no, you don't manifest by thinking harder or pretending you're fine. You manifest by retuning your signal until your words, feelings, and body are all saying the same thing. And the first step to that coherence isn't more discipline, it's safety. Because your circuit can't carry current if it's still trying to survive the past. Everything in your energy field begins and ends with safety. Not external safety, internal permission. Because when your nervous system doesn't feel safe, it hijacks your signal. Every dream, every visualization, every declaration gets filtered through one primal question. Am I okay right now? If the body answers no, your energy circuit reroutes into defense mode. The current that should flow into creation gets trapped in protection. This is the invisible barrier that makes people say, "I know what to do, but I can't make myself do it." It's not laziness, it's a safety lock. Your body can't open the door to abundance while guarding against imagined danger. Here's what actually happens. The vagus nerve, that communication bridge between your brain, heart, and gut, acts like a voltage regulator. When you're anxious, it constricts. Energy stops flowing smoothly. Your field becomes fragmented, and the quantum mirror can't reflect your intention clearly. But when you restore a sense of safety, the vagus nerve relaxes, coherence returns, and your whole system starts transmitting a clean, unified signal. So let's practice that right now. Take a slow inhale through the nose, letting the breath expand your ribs sideways instead of up. Hold for a heartbeat, then exhale gently through the mouth, imagining that breath washing down your spine like warm light. Do it again, but this time, drop your shoulders and feel your feet. Notice how the ground is holding you. No fight, no urgency, just gravity saying, "You are supported." As your breath deepens, imagine a small rhythmic pulse inside your chest. That's your heart's electromagnetic field syncing with your brain waves. Feel the circuit reconnecting, not as a thought, but as a vibration. Now, silently recall something that evokes genuine gratitude, not forced positivity. real warmth. Maybe the sunlight hitting your skin, or a moment of laughter that felt free. Notice how your chest softens. That softness is coherence forming. It's the signal of safety. In that state, your brain stops looping old survival stories. Your energy stops scattering. The field around you begins to stabilize, tuning itself to your emotional frequency like ripples aligning in water. This is the true beginning of manifestation. Not desire, not hustle, but nervous system harmony. You can't create coherently while your body's still guarding the past. But once the circuit calms, the signal amplifies naturally. And here's the paradox. You don't reach safety after your reality changes. Your reality changes after you feel safe. That's why some people do less but attract more. Their inner system is broadcasting a steady current instead of static. But safety is only half the equation. The other half, the one most people miss, is identity. Because once your system feels safe enough to open, the question becomes, who is it that's transmitting the signal now? Once your nervous system starts to feel safe, something subtle but powerful happens. The surface-level states you used to chase, calm, confidence, flow, start to stabilize. But if you stop there, you'll plateau. Because coherence without identity shift is like charging a battery that's not connected to anything. Energy follows identity. When you feel good for a few minutes but still see yourself as the person who struggles, doubts, or waits, that deeper self-concept reclaims control. The field doesn't reflect your momentary feeling. It reflects your ongoing frequency, the one encoded in who you believe you are. You can meditate into stillness and still broadcast, "I'm not ready." You can visualize abundance while subtly vibrating, "I'm the one who never has enough." And that's the hidden reason manifestation often flickers out. The circuit powers up, but the identity filter scrambles the current. Here's what most people don't realize. Identity isn't just psychological, it's electromagnetic. The neural patterns that define who you are literally electrical loops in the brain. The body then memorizes those loops through emotion. Together, they form a repeating broadcast, a persistent signal that shapes what the quantum field decodes as your life. So when you shift identity, you're not pretending to be someone new. You're repatterning the signal your field sends. You're telling reality, this is the new frequency, adjust accordingly. Let me show you what that looks like. Imagine someone who spent years surviving financially. They've done mindset work, affirmations, everything. But deep down, their body still holds the frequency of scarcity, the subtle contraction, the anticipation of loss. Then one day, something shifts. Instead of trying to think rich, they start moving like someone who feels safe to receive. Slower, grounded, deliberate. Their breath steadies. Their body finally relaxes into worthiness. That's not a thought change. That's an identity broadcast. And within weeks, opportunities they used to chase start showing up uninvited. Not because the universe suddenly decided they were worthy, but because their field finally stopped announcing, "I'm in lack." Your hidden circuit isn't a trick. It's a mirror of your embodiment. Every time you act, breathe, and feel as your future self now, you reinforce a new frequency loop. Eventually, the old self loses voltage. That's how timelines begin to shift, not through fantasy, but through resonance. Because once identity changes, the field doesn't have a choice. It reorganizes everything to stay coherent with you. But what exactly is a timeline? And how does identity decide which one you live in? Every possible version of your life already exists, not as fantasy, but as frequency. Each timeline vibrates at its own rhythm, like parallel radio stations broadcasting simultaneously. You don't create a new one, you tune to it, and the tuner is identity. Your identity, the energetic pattern of who you believe yourself to be, decides which signal your hidden circuit locks onto. That's why two people can walk through the same event and live in entirely different realities. One interprets it as rejection, another as redirection. The event is neutral. The frequency of identity decodes it. When you shift identity, you don't force reality to change. You simply stop feeding the old channel. The current flows elsewhere, and suddenly the people, choices, and opportunities that match the new frequency start appearing, like a broadcast finally coming into focus. Let's anchor that in a moment you've probably lived. You're sitting in your car before a job interview. You've been practicing confidence affirmations, maybe even visualizing success. But inside, your energy still hums with the old frequency. I'm not enough. The air feels dense. Every heartbeat echoes like a question mark. Now imagine something different. You close your eyes and breathe into your chest. You recall the version of you who already belongs there, not as fantasy, but as memory from another timeline. You feel their calm, the way they walk, the subtle authority in their breath. You sync to that version's frequency, not by thinking, but by feeling the broadcast of them in your body. As your nervous system stabilizes around that new pattern, your voice changes, your gaze steadies. You walk into the room not trying to prove anything, just transmitting alignment. The interviewer senses it, not consciously, but energetically. The coherence of your circuit alters the interaction itself. That's how timelines collapse. The body becomes the bridge between what was and what's emerging. In quantum terms, the moment you embody the emotion and behavior of another timeline, your field starts broadcasting its signal into the present. The wave of that reality and your current one interfere, and coherence makes one dominate. The old probability fades not because you worked harder, but because you stopped oscillating between frequencies. Here's the catch. You can't fake it. You can't overlay a new identity on top of old fear and expect clarity. The nervous system must feel safe enough to hold that frequency. That's why regulation comes before redefinition. When identity shifts at the level of the body, when the heart, brain, and gut all agree, the hidden circuit locks onto a new timeline and starts decoding reality from there. The mirror changes its reflection instantly because you changed the signal source. Now the question becomes, how do you rehearse that identity so deeply that it becomes second nature? A permanent signal instead of a momentary spark. You can't just think yourself into a new identity. You have to train your field to hold its frequency. This is the part most people skip, the daily rehearsal that teaches your body how to become a different transmitter. So let's build your toolkit. 4 layers of practice that rewire the hidden circuit until coherence becomes automatic. First layer, bridge statements. These are the linguistic frequencies that help your system cross the gap between disbelief and embodiment. Instead of forcing, "I am wealthy," you say, "I'm learning what safety and receiving feels like." Or, "Each breath, my body remembers stability." These phrases soothe the nervous system instead of triggering resistance. They act like voltage regulators, letting your field adjust gradually to a higher signal. Second layer, somatic anchors. Every new identity needs a physical signature, a posture, a breath rhythm, a specific point of awareness. Maybe your future self's energy feels grounded through the feet or warm behind the heart. Once you sense it, repeat it. Every time you sit, walk, or speak, recall that physical imprint. The body learns through repetition, not logic. That anchor becomes your circuit's new default setting. Third layer, emotional rehearsal. Each night before sleep, close your eyes and imagine yourself already living from the new timeline. But here's the key. Don't visualize the details. Feel the chemistry. If your new identity feels calm, abundant, confident, breathe that emotion until your body believes it's real. The subconscious doesn't distinguish memory from rehearsal. It only records frequency. Fourth layer, coherence breath. Inhale for 5 counts through the heart. Exhale for 5 through the belly. Imagine the breath traveling in a loop. Heart to gut, gut to brain, brain back to heart. This closes the energetic circuit. Do this for 2 minutes in moments of doubt or pressure. It instantly resynchronizes your system and restores the broadcast. When these tools combine, something remarkable happens. The you that used to need evidence starts to become the evidence. Your field stabilizes in a new pattern, and life reflects accordingly. The circuit hums without conscious effort, just as effortlessly as your old identity once repeated struggle. At that stage, manifestation isn't a task. It's a side effect of coherence. You don't chase timelines, you magnetize them by frequency memory. If you want to test this, try a 7-day immersion. Pick one anchor, one bridge statement, one emotion. Practice them until they feel like your natural setting. Watch how your environment subtly rearranges itself to match that internal broadcast. And as you experiment, I want to know, have you ever noticed the moment you stopped gripping? What you wanted finally showed up? Tell me your story in the comments. It might unlock someone else's leap. Now that your toolkit is alive, the next layer is seeing what tries to block it. Because even the strongest circuit faces interference. Even after you start running energy through your hidden circuit, interference will creep in. The moment your signal strengthens, old patterns test its stability. They're not punishment, they're calibration points. Each one asks, can you hold coherence when it counts? There are 3 main distortions that scramble the circuit: urgency, split signals, and over-control. Let's decode each. Urgency is the most seductive trap. It disguises itself as motivation, that pushy energy that says, I need this now. But urgency is really fear wearing ambition's clothes. It tightens the body, shortens the breath, and floods the field with static. The moment you slip into it, your broadcast collapses from creation mode to survival mode. The antidote isn't apathy, it's spaciousness. When you feel that inner rush, stop and expand your awareness beyond the problem. Look around. Literally widen your gaze. This simple act tells the nervous system there's no threat. The field relaxes. Time dilates. Coherence returns. That's when synchronicities reappear. Not when you chase, but when you release pressure and let the current flow back into rhythm. Split signals are subtler. They happen when one part of you wants something and another secretly resists it. You might declare, "I want partnership," while a deeper layer associates closeness with loss of freedom. The hidden circuit can't transmit two opposing frequencies. It shorts. That's why life sends mixed results. Opportunities that half fit. People who mirror your own ambivalence. To clear split signals, you have to bring every voice to the table. Write out both sides without judgment. Ask, what is this fear protecting me from? Often, the resistance is just a younger frequency trying to keep you safe. Once acknowledged, its charge integrates. The current flows clean again. Over-control is the most common among high achievers. It's the belief that if you don't manage every detail, everything will fall apart. But control compresses the wave. The field reads micromanagement as distrust and mirrors it by withholding flow. The practice here is micro-surrender. Choose one small area of your day to let go. How fast an email reply comes. How someone perceives you when the call arrives. Each release frees trapped energy and retrains your body to equate ease with safety. That's when power multiplies, not through tension, but through trust. As these obstacles dissolve, your circuit stabilizes into a constant hum, an inner voltage that no longer flickers when reality tests it. But embodiment isn't just for stillness or meditation. The real mastery begins when you can hold coherence while living, while talking, walking, eating, or scrolling through a noisy world. Because the field isn't watching your rituals, it's reading your ordinary moments. This is where the real work begins. Not in meditation, but in motion. Because your energy circuit doesn't turn off when you leave your mat. It keeps broadcasting with every breath, gesture, and thought. The goal isn't to hold a high vibration all day. That's impossible. The goal is to stay coherent in movement, to let your signal stay intact even when life gets noisy. Every ordinary activity becomes a tuning fork when you bring awareness to it. When you walk, feel your feet as electrical contact points with the earth. Every step releases static, grounds excess charge, and completes the loop between you and the planet's field. When you eat, notice texture, color, temperature. Each sensory detail trains your brain and heart to stay synchronized in presence. During conversation, listen not only to words, but to energy. Are you speaking from contraction or from coherence? The body always tells you. A tightening chest or shallow breath means the current is breaking. Slow down. Inhale through your heart, exhale through your belly, and speak only when you feel that subtle warmth return. That's your field realigning before the next word leaves your mouth. Even scrolling your phone can become a coherence test. You can literally feel your signal distort when you compare, crave, or defend. The moment you notice that energetic static, pause, drop your shoulders, smile softly. Remember, the field doesn't judge, it mirrors. Each moment of awareness repairs another circuit line. And here's the secret. The more often you find coherence in small things, the faster the big things shift. Because the universe isn't waiting for you to perform sacred rituals. It's watching how you vibrate in traffic, at the grocery line, during silence. Integration means your energy stops being situational and becomes systemic. You don't enter alignment, you live as alignment. That's when manifestation stops being episodic and becomes a natural field feedback loop, your environment reflecting every internal update almost instantly. The test, though, is consistency. Can you stay coherent when something unexpected hits? A rejection, a bill, a delay. Can your signal remain stable when outcomes wobble? That's the final frontier of energetic fluency. Holding your voltage through contrast. Because the next level isn't about maintaining the circuit, it's about expanding it. Letting your energy reach further into relationships, creativity, health, and purpose until everything in your orbit starts synchronizing with your signal. And that expansion begins the moment you realize coherence isn't just about you anymore. Once your inner circuit stabilizes, life begins responding beyond your personal bubble. The frequency you maintain starts to entrain everything it touches: relationships, creativity, health, purpose. You become a field influencer in the truest sense, not by persuasion, but by resonance. Let's start with relationships. When your heart-brain circuit stays coherent, you stop seeking emotional safety from others and start projecting it. People feel calmer around you, not because of what you say, but because your electromagnetic field communicates safety before words ever do. Conversations that used to spiral into defense soften. Conflicts dissolve faster. The energy of connection replaces the energy of protection. Then comes creativity. Coherence amplifies intuition, the spontaneous guidance that comes when your nervous system isn't hijacked by pressure. You stop trying to think of ideas and start receiving them as downloads. Every artist, innovator, and problem solver who's tasted flow was, consciously or not, accessing this same circuit. Their brain wasn't the source, it was the receiver. Now, health. The body's cells respond to electromagnetic coherence like instruments tuning to a master frequency. Studies show that when the heart field is stable, immune response, hormonal balance, and cell regeneration all improve. You don't just feel better, your biology recalibrates. Healing becomes less about fixing parts and more about restoring communication, letting current flow where it was once blocked. And purpose. That's when your personal signal merges with something larger. You stop chasing meaning and start conducting it. Your desires no longer feel separate from the world's needs. They align as if reality itself is inviting your contribution. Here's a micro scene that shows what this expansion feels like. You're standing before a blank canvas. Maybe it's literal paint. Maybe it's a project. Maybe it's your next chapter. Normally, that emptiness would trigger pressure. The mind whispers, what if it's not good enough? But now, your body remembers coherence. You breathe through your heart. The space around you starts to feel alive, responsive. You can almost sense the ideas vibrating in the air, waiting for your attention. You lift the brush, the pen, the plan, and instead of forcing inspiration, you translate vibration. That's what it means to let your hidden circuit expand. The boundary between inner and outer blurs. You stop using energy to control and start using it to communicate with life. Eventually, this coherence ripples outward. Your calm becomes contagious. Your clarity rearranges rooms. Your laughter resets others' nervous systems. You realize energy doesn't stop at your skin. It's an open broadcast, influencing and being influenced in real time. But there's a deeper dimension still, one that hums beneath the personal and the practical. A frequency that doesn't just reflect you, but includes you. The intelligence that created the field itself. And when you start to feel that presence moving through your circuit, you understand you are never generating power alone. There comes a point where the whole conversation about manifestation begins to dissolve. You realize it was never about controlling reality, but about becoming transparent enough for reality's own intelligence to move through you. When your energy circuit hums in coherence, it's not just your personal signal that gets amplified. It's the signal of the field itself, expressing through your body. You stop trying to align with the universe and start noticing. You are the universe, briefly localized as you. Here's the paradox. The more you surrender, the stronger your influence becomes. Because control constricts flow, but trust lets voltage surge. You move from, I must create this, to, I am being created as this. The hidden circuit you once saw as a tool becomes a channel, a living interface between form and consciousness. In that state, guidance stops feeling like thought. It arrives as sensation, impulse, rhythm. You feel pulled rather than pushed. You don't ask, what should I do next? Because your entire body becomes the answer. The mind receives, the heart confirms, the world echoes. It's a dance, your field and the field, both decoding and recoding each other in real time. You realize that energy psych reality decoder wasn't metaphorical. It's literal. Every emotion, every breath, every act of presence is the universe reading itself through you. When people speak of miracles, they're describing those moments when personal coherence and cosmic intelligence fuse so completely that probability bends. A delay turns into perfect timing. A coincidence becomes choreography. It's not random, it's resonance at scale. You start sensing the field's subtle humor, how it plays with timing, how it mirrors lessons with perfect precision. Every challenge becomes feedback, every loss an energetic recalibration. Life stops feeling like a test and starts feeling like an exquisite conversation. And the more you surrender, the clearer the current becomes. You realize strength isn't about holding on. It's about being fully available. That's the real spiritual power, the courage to be permeable. Because in the end, your hidden circuit was never just about shaping matter. It was about remembering that matter itself is energy and relationship, a continuous loop of awareness, learning itself through vibration. And when you live from that knowing, you don't manifest to prove your worth. You express because you are worth. Every action becomes a frequency offering. Every breath becomes participation in creation itself. You finally understand. Surrender isn't giving up control. It's returning control to the intelligence that never lost it. And from that moment, reality flows through you as effortlessly as light through a clear window. But to complete the loop, to close the current, there's one more step: how you live with this awareness, moment to moment, as the decoder itself. When you finally sense your own energy field, not as imagination, but as a living pulse between your cells and the space around you, something irreversible happens. The illusion of separation fades. You start to realize you were never using energy. You were energy, decoding reality in every instant. The mirror metaphor fits here, but not like before, because it's not just that reality reflects you. It's that you are both sides of the mirror at once, the observer and the observed, the wave and the witness. Every emotion, every choice, every breath sends a ripple through the glass, and the reflection reshapes accordingly. When your heart and brain are coherent, when your nervous system hums instead of bracing, you stop seeing life as a sequence of problems to fix. You begin to read it like a language, the syntax of synchronicity, the grammar of sensation. The universe speaks in frequency, and your body is its translator. That's why this hidden circuit matters. It's not spiritual decoration, it's how reality communicates with you. Each time you regulate your breath, soften your chest, and open your awareness, you widen the bandwidth of that communication. You decode more data, more beauty, more subtle alignment. You begin to understand existence directly, not conceptually. Imagine it like standing before a vast sheet of still water. When you're incoherent, you thrash, and the reflections blur. When you're coherent, the surface becomes smooth, and suddenly you can see what was always there. Every reflection becomes guidance, every event, an encoded message. And the moment you relax, life rearranges itself around that new clarity. This is the mastery most of us were never taught. That energy isn't mystical, it's mechanical and miraculous at once. The hidden circuit is your built-in interface with the field. Your thoughts, emotions, and sensations are levers and switches, tuning the mirror in real time. So when people say energy is everything, it's not poetic fluff, it's physics meeting consciousness. Your frequency isn't just influencing reality, it is reality expressed through the pattern you hold. Now that you know the decoder is alive within you, the practice becomes simple. Stay curious about your current. Notice how your field responds to peace versus pressure, openness versus control. Each awareness moment polishes the mirror a little more, until reflection and source are one. That's when life begins to feel like participation instead of pursuit. Flow replaces force. You stop trying to summon miracles. You become one. The real secret was never about finding energy. It was about remembering you are it, the circuit, the signal, and the song. Have you felt moments where reality seemed to bend around your calm, when something impossible aligned the instant you stopped trying? Share that story. Someone out there is waiting to decode their own reflection through yours, because that's how the field expands, one clear transmitter at a time.